Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. This is Thursday, the 5th of October, 2017. I say that only because tonight, live from 10 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Vegas time, we'll be talking live and exclusive to Povetkin and Stiverne. That will become more relevant, I guess, after my explanation. First of all, I want to say thank you to those of you around the world that are subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, why haven't you subscribed? It's free. Hit the subscribe button. And of course, when you hit the subscribe button, also hit the little bell in the corner that allows you to get notifications live and to your inbox so you can listen in and watch our exclusive interviews and live commentary on big fights. Okay. So this video is entitled, well, it's not. This is the Povetkin and Stiverne thing. So maybe I'll have to change this because this is not what it's meant to be. It's the wrong button I've pushed. So never mind. I will have to edit this and change it later because this should have been the Wilder Stiverne, Ortiz Whyte video. So I've obviously clicked on the wrong button. That's okay. We'll just have to adjust that and make that for later on. Well, regardless, we're in and we're on. So let's talk a bit about this. Where do we begin? Let's start with this situation with Deontay Wilder. And let's take you right back to when Deontay Wilder is meant to face Alexander Povetkin to defend his title. And I heard through the grapevine, I don't know where I heard it, that Povetkin would fail a drugs test. Wilder would get to the US, go to Russia, and would fail the drug, and Povetkin would fail the drugs test. That's what I heard. And exactly as planned, Wilder ended up in Russia, or going to Russia, and the fight got cancelled. Povetkin was positive for PEDs. Okay, so that goes on. Then I don't know if you remember me doing an interview with the president of the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman. I asked him when Golovkin and Brook were fighting in the UK. I asked him the question, tell me, what's the situation with Povetkin and Stiverne? Because Povetkin was caught with PEDs. Why is he not being sanctioned? What's going on? Why is he still allowed to fight Stiverne? I said, it's all fine. Povetkin will be fighting Stiverne. But we all could see that Povetkin had problems with PEDs. Stiverne goes to Russia. What happens? A day or hours before the fight, guess what happens? Stiverne ends up pulling out the fight because Povetkin has issues with PEDs. Okay. So then now we have the situation here with Deontay Wilder and Stiverne. Stiverne, if you remember, for the rematch, there was a little bit of hot air being blown around about Povetkin, about Stiverne, and him taking drugs and having PEDs. Now, I see there's a beauty of being on the inside looking out than being on the outside looking in. When you're on the outside looking in, you can speculate all you want, and you can come up with wide and wild and strange conspiracy theories. But when you're on the inside and you're looking at documentation, and then you're reading what some of these podcasts and hearing some of these podcasts and reading some of the rubbish that is put on these so-called journalists who haven't spoken to anybody, they say sources report. It makes you wonder what exactly is going on and what the agenda is. So the story came out that, first of all, Stiverne had some problem with PEDs. We discover afterwards that it was an energy drink, and the actual VADA or whoever they are had warned Stiverne not to use the energy drinks for his own health. It wasn't PEDs. There's a substance inside there that wasn't good. They say it's not good for the heart. And they told Stiverne, It's not very good for you to be drinking this stuff for your own personal health. Not that he was doing PEDs. It was a drink. It was a monster drink. If it was an issue, you would have known about it. So we move on. But even then you know, people report and say it was this and it was that. Well, WBC didn't seem to have a problem with it, but somehow the other journalists and other people with agendas had a problem with it. Anyway, we move on. Then we hear that Stiverne and Wilder will be fighting again. And Wilder's camp comes out and says, we're a bit concerned about Stiverne because he missed his drug test. Okay, so here we go again. The journalists are up again, the so-called journalists up again. Yeah, Stiverne, he's ducking the drug people. He's definitely on PEDs. People are very quick to jump to conclusions without actually really looking into things. That's the world we're in today. Somebody's guilty first, and then we ask questions later. But we all know that if it's the people that are pointing the fingers, if you do it to them, they want to be heard. But anyway, boxing is a very funny world where journalists, where the most logical things don't make sense, and they come up with some of the most illogical ideas. What basically happened was Stiverne gave an address as to where he would be. He said he would be at a certain place at a certain time. The people didn't turn up at the time they said they were going to turn up. Stiverne was at another address, and a letter was sent to the WBC explaining the situation, and eventually they did the test in Stiverne. I think it was a day later or 2 days later, and the WBC were fine with that. That's official. That's not unofficial. That's official. Okay, that's official. So that's as official as it is. And then you notice that story all sort of died down, disappeared. Then we had the Luis Ortiz situation, where we heard already that Luis Ortiz had issues with PEDs. I contacted King Kong Boxing, did an interview with them. They explained that there was a mix-up with the whole drug situation. It wasn't actually them that did it. Somebody else did it, according to his management team. And they said there was a mix-up and a big misunderstanding. That was an interview I did a couple of years back. I did try to reach out to King Kong Boxing and rang them and whatever else happened, and asked them to call back, and you know, because I could see what was going to happen. I could see that Luis Ortiz and this situation is going to happen. But good luck to them. They obviously felt that it was smart not to get back in contact with me, because this is a situation where we could use as evidence. But it doesn't matter. Regardless, so their team now decide not to ring me back when I'm sure that they're going to get called for PEDs. Okay, fight that everybody wants to see. On the flip side, Stiverne is now going to be fighting Dominic Brazil. That's the plan. Now, there was a Wilder Ortiz press conference called. There was no press conference so far for Stiverne versus Brazil. Very odd, but anyway. So this is going on. No face-to-face with Brazil and Stiverne. Stiverne's still training. So guess what? Luis Ortiz is caught with PEDs. Ortiz wants to test his innocence by testing to get a strand of his hair to prove that he's innocent. Nobody really wants to hear it. The WBC have cut Ortiz off. So now we're looking at potentially Stiverne Wilder 2. Now, before we even get to Stiverne Wilder 2, if it happens, or it doesn't happen, whatever, I'll say this much. I'm not convinced in all this PED stuff. I think PEDs is a good way to get away from fighting anybody dangerous. I'm not suggesting that these people are not on PEDs, but I think I said it a few years ago. If people are following the channel, I said it a few years ago that it will come a time where nearly every fighter that fights is going to be done for PEDs. And I said that in this time, we need to find out the truth. We need to find out from independent organizations outside of the main bodies to find out where these people really are on PEDs, or these people have just been discredited and their careers have been discredited because they're not signing up for paying sanctioning fees, or they're not listening to the promoters, or they want to go their own way, or they want to break contracts, or just somebody just militia out there wants to mess up their careers. In this world and the type of people we've got in this world, there's always somebody out there looking to discredit or take away the achievements of others. And this is one surefire way to do that. and with the sort of idiots we've got in the world today that will just jump to conclusions without going through the process of looking through things and saying, well, this and this. So look at this now. Ortiz, Stiverne, Povetkin. Those are 3 fighters that have been done or been accused of PEDs. Povetkin is he's been discredited and out the door. He's gone. Ortiz, a man who 2 guys who people thought that would beat Wilder, Ortiz and Povetkin are both out the window now because of the PEDs. And now you've got Stiverne, who was accused by Wilder's camp. So I was surprised that gets thrown up in the air again. And then you've got Dillian White. Now the whole Dillian White situation perplexes me because I don't know if his promoter actually is interested in really getting him a world title fight, or just making a noise to seem as though he's trying to get a world title fight for his man. I don't know which one it is. When I'm saying that, I mean, I don't know if he's just going in front of cameras and making noise, but knowing that his fight is not going to get a chance of getting a world title shot, or he's actually believing he can get his fight a world title shot. I've heard his promoter talk about, oh yeah, we'll try and get the fight with Wilder. We down when you Stiverne was the mandatory. So what the hell are you talking about? You know, so who are you trying to pull the wool over? I mean, Stiverne was the mandatory, still is the mandatory, and somehow Dillian White's going to get himself in. I'm not saying that. I'm not here saying, oh, Stiverne should be mandatory because we know the arguments. We've heard the arguments 1,001 times. So what's going to happen now if the WBC have issued Stiverne Wilder 2? What's going to happen with all the broadcasts, the network, the Showtime? What are they going to do? Not put the fight on when Wilder's still got a contract with Showtime? What are they going to do? They're going to just flush the fight out? What's going to happen? Because at the moment, the WBC seems to have ordered Stiverne Wilder 2. I'll get confirmation on that tonight with Stiverne. But beside the point of that, this whole thing with Dillian White, why doesn't Dillian White, if that's the case, then Dillian White on November 4th should face Dominic Brazil and Stiverne should fight Wilder. Okay, that's out of the way. That's dealt with. That's sorted. But to be honest, and the other thing that perplexes me is this World Boxing Super Series. The division that needs it the most at the moment is the heavyweight division. Because if you can get that unified and have one champion, that would be something. That'd be something special. The cruiserweight division, well, that's sorting itself out, to be honest. And the super middleweight division, well, that was sorting itself out. But the heavyweight division, once you've got a unified champion in the heavyweight division, or an undisputed champion, well, that's brilliant. You haven't got everyone else claiming that they're world champion. You've got one champion. There's a lot of money to be made. Why didn't they do a Super 8 series in the heavyweight division? It's definitely necessary. So those are my thoughts on those things. But don't forget, tonight I will repost the video, repost the link for Stiverne interview tonight. My apologies for using the wrong link, but things happen. Let me see if I can see if there's anybody in these chat rooms, because I've probably used the wrong link, like I said earlier. Let's see if I can find where you guys are. I know there's a lot of people in the room, and let's see if I can find you. Give me a second. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are, what you're thinking, and it's always nice to know what boxing fans are thinking and what they're about and how they would handle the situation. Oh, it's not there. Let's click this instead. Yeah, this is the link now. Clicked on the wrong link earlier, so I'll just have to I'll have to change the title on this. Annoying. Let's have a look and see what this is saying to me. I'm in the room now. Bam, bang. Yo, Ingram. Oh, what time is Stiverne on? Stiverne will be on tonight at 10 p.m. So I'll get the link. So it's my fault. I should have used the other link. But anyway, they're on PDs. Tanker K says there's a serious level of unprofessional from Ortiz and WBC by the looks of it. How does Stiverne remain mandatory for years? I don't know, but I'm not going to go into it. But I did explain the process of the whole Stiverne situation. So kind of like a redundant question. Yeah, Hut keeps stepping aside. Why does Stiverne talk a lot, talk about his shot, and then keeps on stepping aside, yet insisting to everyone he ain't gonna? Well, he ain't gonna this time round. Eddie Hearn said that Whyte versus Brazil. Eddie Hearn can say what he wants to say, but Eddie Hearn can say what he wants. I don't take a lot of what he says for any sort of seriousness in the heavyweight division, unless it's Anthony Joshua, which he controls. Let's get this Wilder Stiverne situation over with. I totally agree with you. It has to happen. Whyte versus Brazil. Not many want to see Brazil, mate. Not many people want to see Brazil, mate. Really? I think you're in a minority there, mate. Brazil in his last fight was against Ungolo, and it was in an exciting fight, one of the most exciting heavyweight fights this year. Guys getting knocked down, guys getting up from knockdowns. I mean, what more do you want? A bang 'em up fight. I think you're in a minority there, my friend. Hi, Ingram. Mr. Met says, what I'm thinking is this was one big mess. There is more drama out of the ring than in it. Well, yeah. And I think so. I have to agree with you there. Whyte versus Brazil is a decent fight. It is a decent fight. I think it is. I think Whyte versus Vac was a decent fight. I'm not sure in terms of Dillian White. I'm not sure if his media personality converts into tickets. Is Dillian White a big ticket seller? I don't know. I don't know if Dillian White is a big ticket seller. You know, Chisora sells tickets because he's controversial, but he's fought some of the best in the world. Dillian White's fought Anthony Joshua, and then Ian Lewison, Dave Allen, Chisora. But that's it. I mean, Dillian White needs a big American name now, I think. So he needs a big American name. So I don't know about Dillian White. I think there's a lot of people pushing for Dillian White, but I don't know as a ticket seller whether he sells that many tickets. And I think that may be an issue. I don't know. I really am not sure. Because if you're a big ticket seller, then it's easier to get your fights and all the rest of it. But I don't get if Dillian White has got the profile that everyone claims he has, a lot of the people that are pushing the Dillian White agenda, then I would say, well, okay, why was he fighting against Malcolm Tan with only a few hundred people in the arena? That didn't make no sense to me. No sense whatsoever. So it was an American debut. That was a waste of time against a guy who hadn't fought for how many years? That's not exactly what you're doing to boost somebody's profile. So I have a problem with that. I really do. Have you seen the toe-to-toe interview with Sky Sports? Which one, JD? There's been quite a few toe-to-toe interviews with Sky Sport. I don't know. Sorry, I haven't seen it. Stiverne's the only man Wilder hasn't stopped KO'd in 38 fights. I know. You're right. He's not a seller of tickets, White. Apparently, can't afford White on the card. Can't see White a sellout. This is my point. So, there's no disrespect to Dillian White. I actually think Dillian White has got an interesting personality. I think he could be a crossover star if matched correctly with the right type of fights. I don't know. I'd like to see Dillian White with the promoter. They say this is going to sound controversial. I'd like to see a promoter looking after Dillian White that actually wants and cares about Dillian White. See, I think it's a twofold thing here. If you're promoting, you've got the heavyweight champion of the world, which is Anthony Joshua, and he's making you millions and millions and millions, and he's putting on devastating performances or very good performances against Joshua, against Klitschko, against Molina. He's doing the business. He's doing the numbers. He's making the pay-per-views. He's doing the business. And then you've got Dillian White, whose performances have been okay. Nobody can say to me, well, I saw Dillian White. He looked devastating in his last fight. He hasn't looked devastating in his fights. He's looked good. He's looked okay. The Chisora fight is questionable. Did he win that fight? You know, a couple of times in that fight, you thought that Chisora was on the end, was close to stopping him. You know, and then people say Chisora, well, look, Chisora went and fought Pulev, and he didn't look great against Pulev. And then you're going to say, well, Pulev's going to fight Joshua, and Joshua's going to blow him out there. So it's a whole thing about levels. And I'm not being disrespectful about Dillian White here. I'm just saying that I think he's got to be in fights that are going to make him look good. Definitely doesn't want to be fighting against guys that are movers. He needs to have guys that come straight at him and he can box them. You know, he looked decent against Dave Allen, looked decent against Lewison. The Chisora fight was a great fight because Chisora brought it. But I'm not sure about, you know, he didn't look convincing to me against Chisora. Yes, he showed he loves a fight, showed that he can take a great shot, showed that he can battle back, showed a warrior's heart and guts. And all. So yeah, all that stuff is great. I just think he needs to be promoted better. I just don't think Dillian White has been promoted better. Could Frank Warren do a better job with him? I don't know, but I'm not sure. Because Eddie Hearn's got so many fighters, I'm not sure if Dillian White's face fits. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not sure. And you know, I like Dillian White, and I think, you know, Dillian White, this is what I think of Dillian White for me. Dillian White has got the ability to be like a Razor Ruddock. He could be like Razor Ruddock, you know, Jamaican born, and you know, he'll fight anybody. And that, you look how Razor Ruddock was. Razor Ruddock, you know, he never ever became a world champion. He had tough fights against Tyson, got blown away by Lewis. He came back and fought Tommy Morrison. If you've ever seen the Tommy Morrison fight, a great fight, go watch Tommy Morrison fight against Razor Ruddock. You know, but I just think that he needs to be well managed. And I think if you well manage him, I would manage him and stick him down the WBA route. You know, and trying to get him a fight against Fezquendo, or get that strap of the WBA title. Fight for the WBA title, the regular title. He still would be a world champion. I think that Dillian White versus Lucas Brown, Dillian White versus Fezquendo, Dillian White versus what's his name, Ustinov. That's the route Dillian White should be going. All he's trying to push him up the WBC ratings when he's not going to get a look in. Not yet, anyway. And when he does get a look, okay, so Stiverne fights him. If Stiverne fights Wilder, if Stiverne wins, then what happens then? You're going to probably want to see Wilder Stiverne 3 because Wilder's going to want a rematch. If Stiverne loses, then Wilder's going to be pushing for a Joshua fight. So I don't see where Dillian White fits in there. So I think he should go his own route, go down the WBA route, try and get a title fight there, even against Shannon Briggs, get the WBA title. And he seemed to get some Americans on his name, on his record. That's what I'd like to see. And those people would say that, oh, well, you know, he had a tough fight against Chisora. That was a very good Derek Chisora. And Chisora gave Vitaly Klitschko a very tough fight. So I don't know. I don't believe that for 1 second that Chisora, because you look bad against Chisora, that's a bad thing. Chisora also gave David Haye life and hell on high water for 5 rounds. And, you know, Haye was on the back foot, running off the back foot. So, I mean, you know, he made Haye work hard in that fight. So, you know, the only guy that's really made Chisora look simple is Fury in the rematch. That's because Fury turned southpaw, took away Chisora's best punch, which is the overhand right, and put a masterclass on. you know. So so you know, I don't know, but it's varying opinion. I think that at the time Vitaly Klitschko was given his toughest fight of his career. I thought when Chisora fought him, I really did. You know, if you take into consideration what Vitaly Klitschko was doing beforehand, Vitaly Klitschko was knocking everybody out. And I remember people saying to me, "Oh, Vitaly Klitschko knock out Chisora in a couple rounds." I said, "No, it's not happening. Not happening." Man, he gave him a very good fight, and that was a Chisora who only had 15 or 16 fights at the time. People forget that about Derek Chisora. Ingram, what do you think about Stiverne saying he was dehydrated in the first fight, and do you think the second fight will be much more competitive? Well, there's a lot of things that have changed. First and foremost, I know everyone's talking about, oh, well, he's not been in the ring for a long time. All right. But I don't hear me say, oh, well, you know what? Deontay Wilder has had corrective surgery. And nobody's talking about that injury. Nobody's talking about the extent of the injury. Nobody's talking about that Gerald Washington bizarre performance where Washington was winning the first 4 rounds, and then out of nowhere, Wilder pulled out that right hand. One right hand, which changed the whole situation. Nobody talks about that. It's interesting. If Stiverne comes in like he does, and very, very lackluster, then you know you can see Wilder winning again. Not as easy. But if Stiverne can get in the sort of shape he needs to be in, lighter, and comes in with a different mindset, I believe it's going to be a very different fight for Deontay Wilder. It's going to be a different fight for Deontay Wilder anyway because of the reconstructive surgery he's had on his hand and his arm and all the rest of it. Never the same fight after those injuries. So I don't believe Deontay Wilder is a better fighter since then. And there's nothing to suggest that Deontay Wilder has even improved as a fighter since he last fought Stiverne. So I don't know. I mean, what fight are you going to say? Yeah, that fight there is where Deontay Wilder has improved. He showed me improvement there. Now I haven't seen no fight where Deontay Wilder's improved. On the flip side, we haven't seen Stiverne fight at all, so we don't know where he's at. So yeah, it's just you just don't know. You just don't know. But I will say this much: the first fight was a very good fight. I thought the first fight was a good fight. The build up to it was explosive, and I thought it was a very good fight. It was a crowning moment for Deontay Wilder, and he boxed the best I've ever seen Deontay Wilder fight. That's the best I've ever seen him fight. So at that point in time, people saying, "Oh, this guy's really good," but subsequent performances against Molina, Duhaupas, and Svilka have been performances, and against Joe Washington, performances where people gone, really? Is this guy really the best heavyweight in the world? So, and then on the flip side, you look at someone like Joshua, who's dismantled these guys and has done it well. So, you know, and he's fought Klitschko, which is key for I believe, for Joshua. I wonder what Stiverne is paying against Wilder. I got Wilder to win, but damn, if he's 7-1, or I might put some cheese on Stiverne, says NBT Boxing. Okay, sounds good. JD said the latest toe-to-toe with AJ. AJ basically saying Wilder might be next year or in 2019 or 2020. That has riled up American fans. Whyte will never be a champion. Sorry, but no, dude. Going life and death with Chisora will be A level. I thought David Hay went life and death with Chisora for 5. Chisora, yeah, Chisora is inconsistent. Atanka K says, if Stiverne wins, it would be in everyone's interest for him to fight one of the Brits because we couldn't have the belt stuck between him and Wilder for another 2 years. But you know, if Stiverne gets the title, he'll fight anybody. We know that already. If Wilder comes in emotional too, that could fire big. Yeah, backfire good. I agree with that. Thank you. Finally, someone British acknowledges that Wilder Stiverne was a good and worthwhile fight. I thought it was a good fight, the first fight. I really did. Fight fans are very, fight fans can be very like sheep, and they're very scared to have their own opinion. So if somebody says that fight shit, then you just get a load of people come by and say that fight shit, like bullies and cowards. How do I rate Hughie Fury? I said Hughie Fury had one of the best jabs in the heavyweight division. Unfortunately, that night against Parker, I don't think he used it as effectively as he should have against Parker. I would like to see him do more work against Parker. I still thought he won the fight. And if you listen to my commentary, I was like, well, the only belt that Parker's taking home is the belt that holds up his trousers. That's how confident I was Hughie Fury won the fight. But he didn't. And there's the whole saying, well, if you're going to beat the champion, you have to literally rip the belt away from the champion. And did Hughie Fury rip the belt away from the champion? No. Did Hughie Fury put on a good boxing display? Did he make him miss and make him pay? Yeah, absolutely. But did he put on a masterclass in terms of, it was just, you have to say, well, in the jabs, I remember commentating on the fight and saying the jabs I felt were falling short, and I didn't feel that, they weren't ramming home the way I'd like to see, like a Lennox Lewis jab, a Larry Holmes jab, a Vitaly Klitschko jab, a Vladimir Klitschko jab, those sort of jabs where he would throw the jab and snaps the head back. Didn't see enough of that, but I guess, I don't know. Hughie again was out of the ring for how much, 2 years or something like that, and come back and fight Joseph Parker and put that on. I would like to see him have a Warbot fight. I know he fought Sokolovsky, but that was an exhibition bout. It was pointless, really. But it is what it is. It is what it is. My opinion don't matter for anything, really, because the fight's come and gone. So, I had Parker Fury draw, says Gorguja. Well said. I had Parker winning, but he's only 23, has a lot of holes to fill. I think Fury will be a top heavyweight for a decade straight. Yeah, I think he will be. Look, that a lot of people are ready to jump out. See, this tells me that a lot of people don't know what they're talking about boxing. This is a 23-year-old who went in with Parker, who's a puncher. Okay. And for me, is a lot better than a lot of the heavyweights out there. I think Hughie Fury carries a good tune, good boxing ability. And he's 23, so he'll come back and he'll fight better than that, I believe. But I don't. What I think people are caught up with is that they look at Tyson Fury and they can't separate Tyson from Hughie. Two different fighters. So if you're expecting Hughie to be like Tyson, then that's the reason why you've got, oh, well, he's a shit fighter. Well, I don't get he's a shit fighter. I don't get that. I don't understand that logic. I mean, this guy has got good boxing ability. He's got good boxing fundamentals. But these are the same people that will turn around and say a guy that's got no defense, walks straight forward and he's catching punches with his face, is an excellent fighter. I don't understand it. I don't understand boxing fans. I don't understand it. Remember what boxing is. It's hit and not get hit. It's not you give me one, I give you one, you give me one, I give you one. That's a street fight. And that's something I don't understand. I've never understood that about boxing fans. But yeah, see, there are fans of boxing fans, in the sense that there are those who appreciate the science of the sport, make a person miss, make them pay, counter punching, good footwork. There are people that like that, and then there's that crowd of people that like Gatti v Ward. Okay, that's not boxing ability. That's two guys standing in the ring and slugging one another. I'm not saying it's not exciting, but that's because those two guys lack boxing ability. And then when those guys fight guys who actually can box, they end up just taking a whole heap of punches and not doing very well. I.e., when Gatti fought when Gatti fought Mayweather, or when Mickey Ward fought Zab Judah. Those examples. So it is what it is. So if just be honest and say, you know what, I don't like technical boxing. I like a bang 'em up. I like a good slug. I like a good punch up. then be honest and say, you know what? Yeah, I like a good punch up. And you're being honest. Who doesn't like a good punch up? Who doesn't like two guys getting in the ring and having a go? No problems with that. Absolutely no problems with that. And I love that. But I can't watch two guys bang it up and say, yeah, that's good boxing, because it isn't. That's a brawl. That's like a barroom brawl, all right? But not everyone boxes like that. There's boxing ability, you know, and that's why you've got guys like Mayweather and Zab Judah and Prince Naseem Hamed and those guys and you know, who can box and can punch. Oscar De La Hoya, Sugar Shea Mosley, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali. I can keep going and going and going. You know, so just not. Ward and Gatti are not skilled. They're two brawlers. That's it. They're brawlers. I don't hate anyone saying they're shit fighters. Yet somebody who's got good jab, good boxing ability, can make him miss, make him play counter, hit somebody off the counter, spin him off the ropes. That guy's a shit fighter. But yet guys like Gatti and Ward who lack boxing fundamentals, and the reason why they get in those bang up, tear up fights is because they lack the boxing fundamentals, where they can't make a guy slip punches and make him move and make him pay. Do you know what I mean? We can still go in a skill level. Rigondeaux, Lomachenko, Crawford, Spence. We're talking. There we go now. There's a guy in the room that's talking about those sort of fighters. I don't know. In my mind, I could be completely wrong. A pound for pound fighter that has who could just be a banger up, tear up, take them shots and be consistently pound for pound and be a pound for pound great. I just don't know anybody like that. I don't know in the top 10 pound for pound list. You can have somebody just walk forward, keep taking punches consistently against the best fighters in the world consistently. You can't keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. Sorry. So, you know, bang up, tear up. I like tear ups. Don't get me wrong. I love Nigel Benn. I'm not going to tell you Nigel Benn's a boxer. I'm not going to tell you Nigel Benn's a boxer. You know? So, and I'm not going around. I just those thoughts I had to bring to light now. Huey, is you level at best? Well, I got to disagree with you there, Dr. Dredd. You have to see Huey Fury in other fights to see whether he's European level at best. And I have to counter you there and say, well, if Huey Fury is European at best, what's Lucas Brown? If Rudenko, in a lot of people's eyes, beat Lucas Brown in a lot of people's eyes, and then Huey Fury played with Rudenko, and then Lucas Brown went on and became world champion, that don't make no sense, does it? That don't make no sense. So I don't know. People see what they want to see, but that don't make no sense to me. Mr. Skeptical says Joseph Parker appeared aggressive, but most of his punches were caught on the arms. That's my point. He was missing a lot, looked like an amateur at times. JT says, I'm so upset I can't see Wilder and Ortiz knocking lumps out of each other. Well, I kind of saw the Ortiz thing happening. Dubois versus Huey could be a good test for both to see where they're at. No, I think Daniel Dubois. That's another thing. People get excited when people knock a few guys over. You know, we don't know. We do know for sure that Huey Fury takes a good punch. We do know for sure that Huey Fury can go 12 rounds. We do know Huey Fury can come through some adversity when a guy's put pressure on him and when he doesn't have it his own way. We don't know these things about Daniel Dubois. And I really hate it when guys jump on about guys who are unproven. Let the guy fight. Let the guy build his record up. Let the guy build his some sort of record about it. Let's see how he does against Sokolowski. Let's see how he does against Sokolowski. We know Sokolowski knocked out AJ Carter. We know that Sokolowski also beat the guy from Ireland, the heavyweight from Ireland, took his unbeaten record. Turner took his unbeaten record. So let's see Dubois to fight him and see how he does against Sokolowski. Sokolowski, we know, also Huey Fury beat over 10 rounds. Let's see how Dubois does against him. I would rather see Daniel Dubois fight Sokolowski than fight AJ Carter, because he wasn't proving anything beating AJ Carter. Yes, it's good management in terms of the highlight reel and how devastating Dubois looks, but he shouldn't be fighting AJ Carter. Gogoja says, yeah, both Parker and Fury were largely ineffective. Their styles cancelled each other out. NBT boxes, I like Fury versus Brown. Next, personally, I'm Australian. Good to hear, mate. Would be rooting for Brown, but I think it's an easy win for Fury. Great bounce back for him too. Yeah. Shout out to you in Australia. I spent 8 months in Australia, actually. I was coaching a cricket club team in Melbourne. Beautiful Melbourne. Love the place. I wish I could live there. Yeah, it was good. One day title and 2-day title back to back. As coach, everyone loves and praises the Gatti Ward trilogies, but for me, there wasn't enough fighting skills. Of course, I agree with you. Skill, yeah, we talked about that. Chisora said Mick Hennessy says Mick Hennessy saying Huey reminds him of shades of Ali. Well, I think that is a bit too much. Shades of Ali is a bit too much. I understand what Mick's trying to say in terms of making a person miss, making a person pay, using the jab, and Ali did those things. But to put Huey Fury in the same bracket or in the same words as Muhammad Ali, it's a bit fabricating the truth. Let's be honest. I mean, it's stretching out. It is stretching it a bit. I mean, there's a lot of great fighters that had a good jab and could box. He didn't say shades of Lennox Lewis. He didn't say shades of Larry Holmes. He didn't see shades of Trevor Burbick. He didn't say shades of Tyrell Biggs. He went and said shades of Muhammad Ali. And if you say Muhammad Ali, you better be damn good, boy. And I don't know if Hugh Fury's had less than 25 fights. Shades of Muhammad Ali, that is... Hugh Fury did well on the night, but shades of Muhammad Ali, come on, Mick. Come on, Mick. I mean, bit of a porky there. Ward was very skilled, as was Hopkins. They were both widely called boring. I know you say that, but they were widely considered pound for pound best fighters in the world. Hopkins and Ward at their time in their era. You can't argue that. You can't argue that Ward was number one at the time in the superweight division. He was numero uno. And when Hopkins was in his prime, he was numero uno middleweight. And when he was at light heavyweight, when he first had all those belts, he was numero uno there, Hopkins. So those two guys were numero uno. And if Hopkins had a bang 'em up, tear 'em up style, he wouldn't be around at near 50 fighting and defending his titles. So, Captain Bullshit, what a name. Huey's a good boxer and all right puncher. Didn't do enough to beat Park, in my opinion. Okay, I get it. I get you. I understand. Has Dubois ever been punched in the face? Well, he sparred with Anthony Joshua, a beat with 16-ounce gloves, and he stopped Joshua in sparring. But I don't know. Agree with you on Dubois. Thank you very much. We understand the sweet science, Ingram, but there is a time to box and a time to fight, as Emmanuel Stewart instructed his fighters. Yes. I think don't let me take you to task on that, because I can bring you 2 Emmanuel Stewart fighters already that come to mind that had they boxed. Okay, Vladimir Klitschko against most of his opponents. Let's say Vladimir Klitschko when he fought Corey Sanders. Vladimir Klitschko when he fought Corey Sanders, what's his name? The other guy, short, Brewster, got knocked out then. Lennox Lewis when he fought Hasim Rahman. I managed to sell a lot of things. Thomas Hearns versus Marvin Hagler. Look, I think that at the end of the day, a boxer puncher You need to know when to punch, when to box. Evander Holyfield, when he fought Mike Tyson, perfect example of when to box and when to brawl. Holyfield brawled when Tyson didn't want him to. Notice, when Holyfield wanted to brawl Tyson, he didn't brawl with him in the center of the ring. He made Tyson get on his back foot, back against the ropes, and then brawled with Tyson because he knew Tyson can get the momentum in his punching power and couldn't get leverage because Tyson can't fight backing up. That's when you fight brawl. All right. So but that comes with experience and time. And you're expecting a guy of 15 fights to know when to brawl and box, then you know that's some guys, very few guys that can do that with the Olympic pedigree and all the rest of it. Not everyone knows when to box and to brawl. And a guy who can do that is exceptionally good, who knows how to box and brawl. You're now talking about your Oscar De La Hoyas, you're talking about your Sugar Shea Moseys, those sort of guys who've got the experience and know when to brawl and when to box. You know, there's a time for it. Gatti and Ward, we understand the sweet science. Do you understand the sweet science? I don't know if you do. And Gatti and Ward were average boxers, but were very good fighters. That's putting it in perspective. Very good fighters. Really? I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if they are very good fighters. I think they're good fighters. I'm not sure they're very good fighters. When I say a very good fighter is effective at what they do against the very best. I think that Gennady Golovkin's a very good fighter, because I think he engages, he engages more and puts you into positions where you have to fight with him. So I think Gennady Golovkin's a very good fighter. I thought Mike Tyson's a very good fighter. You know, guys that can go on and be world champions and be dominant. Gatti, I'm sorry. Virat Kohli, best batsman in the world. That's nice to know. Huey Fury, shades of Herbie. Shades of Woody Harrison. Yeah, don't misunderstand Hopkins Award. I'm just saying people misjudge this. I totally agree with you there. I totally agree with you there, Mr. Yes, I totally agree with you, Mr. P. I totally agree with you, and I didn't misunderstand what you were saying at all. I totally agree with you. The fact that Hopkins and Ward, but you've got to look at the guys that are saying they didn't appreciate their boxing skill. Some of these guys don't know what boxing, the sweet science of the sport is. They don't understand that, and their sole focus, their sole mind thought process is Gatti Ward. That's it. Remember, if their full process is Gatti Ward, that's boxing, then it's very difficult for them to appreciate a Hopkins or Ward. And for that, you're never going to convince people of that you know, bang them up, punch them up, tear them up, fights. You're never going to convince them. You know, and you never hear them people talk about, oh yeah, remember that fight when Gatti fought Mayweather? They don't talk about that. The only people that talk about when Gatti fought Mayweather is those guys who love the sweet science, and they say to you, they use Gatti as example. This is why you shouldn't fight with your face. And then they put that tape on as Gatti coming and fighting against Mayweather. It's about finding a balance between boxing and fighting, really, especially for the heavyweight division. Really? Okay. Fighters we might soon be talking about in the chats like this: Usyk, Babitov, Marcus. Now, Marius Briedis is one of the guys I've put as favourites to win the tournament. So, what do you think of Miller versus Vac? Do you know what? I think Miller's a charismatic fighter. I think he's a good fighter. I'm not sure about this ducking your head down and chucking right hands over the top. I'm not sure about that. When I looked at Miller fight against Gerald Washington, I told everyone before the fight, Gerald Washington is great for 4 rounds. But then after 4 rounds, he starts going, he's put his back against the ropes, starts to run out of energy, and then that's where you can unload and take Gerald Washington apart. And that's kind of what happened with this fight with what's his name? Gerald Miller. I think at the moment, anybody who's got a bit of a mouth and shoots the mouth off and says, I want to fight Anthony Joshua, I want to fight Dillian White. I want to fight. Anybody says that at this minute in time in the heavyweight division, people are craving big fights. So you say that, you will put yourself in a picture. Okay. Now, I think Miller is a good fighter. I think he damn well needs to lose some weight, and eventually that's going to catch up with him. Against Vac, he's got a guy there who takes a good punch, who is pretty fundamentally correct, and takes a good shot. And Povetkin couldn't get him out. Povetkin couldn't get him out of there. So I like Vac. I really do. How good do you think one or both Charlo brothers are? Might they be making some big noise in 2018? Well, he's got, I think one's fighting Lubin, isn't he? So that's going to be a good fight. I do like the Charlo brothers. I think they're very good. I think they're very underrated. I think I'm looking at the guy that's trained by Derek James. I think he's an excellent trainer, underrated trainer. Got some very good values as a boxing trainer that I appreciate. Again, Derek James is not one of those trainers that you're going to hear about. It's always about Freddie Roach and bloody Teddy Atlas and bloody Robert Garcia. But there's those guys. Those guys are not going to talk to you about the science of the sport. I've told you thousands of times, Freddie Roach is great if you're going to turn attack, 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 attack. If you go to Freddie Roach and get trained by Freddie Roach, you're guaranteed to get knocked out eventually. Because Freddie Roach teaches attack, 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 attack. Can't teach you defense. And he was the sole reason why Manny Pacquiao lost to Marquez in the final fight. Is because he was winning the fight, and Roach was so possessed in seeing Marquez get knocked out and nailed to the canvas. He made his guy jump in, and his guy got knocked out. So for me, I look at things like I remember Freddie Roach just 1 year that all his fighters got knocked out. There was one year he got about 4 of his fighters all got knocked out. I don't know if you remember that, back to back knockouts. And those back to back knockouts was part of Freddie Roach, the Freddie Roach legacy for me. When I realized that, at that point, I realized that Freddie Roach can teach attack, can't teach defense. You know, and I have a problem with that because a trainer should be able to teach me attack and defense. You know, I hear some people say, "Oh yeah, he's a good trainer with the mitts. Oh yeah, he's a kind of good trainer, get you fit. Oh yeah, he's a really good trainer. He'll teach you attack." Well, they're one-arm trainers. You need a trainer that can teach you all those things. All those things. So you look at someone like Derek James, he teaches you attack, he teaches you defense. You know, he gets you in great shape. Look at the fighters that come out of that gym. Look at the fighters coming out of Charlo, Spence. Now you've got Brandt, who we've covered on the channel. He'll be fighting against Jürgen Bremer. So we'll see how he does as well. Nathan says, Miller points probably. I agree with you on your Holyfield analogy, 100% Ingram. Yeah. Nathan, Hurd versus Trout, another good fight. Charlos are very good. I like Lubin a lot as well. It's going to be a good fight. Very good fight. Ward and Gatti had good fighting heart with limited skills. Yeah, that's why you don't see me talk much about Ward and Gatti on the channel. Why aren't repeat banned substance offenders kicked out of the sport? Isn't this like multiple drink driving offenders still being licensed, playing with people's lives and well-beings? Well, that sounds all well and good, but let me stop you there 1 second. For the person that's drinking and driving, this may sound really bad, but hold on a second. You've got evidence that person been drinking and driving. They've done the test. You've seen the evidence. They've crashed into somebody. They may have killed somebody, or they may have injured somebody. You've got the evidence there. The sequence is there. There's nobody slipping drink into the person's body and mixing around with the tests and all that crap. We don't have that. This situation with boxing, you don't know for sure if that is that person's blood. You don't know if that sample's been tampered with. You don't know anything, because there's always an agenda with boxing. There's always an agenda. And where there's money, there's corruption. And when you're talking boxing, I don't care what people tell me, there's hell corruption in it. So, look, you've seen it, not just in boxing, in life. You know, where people start going into certain levels, high levels, where the best way, if you can't kill somebody, you assassinate their character. In sport, if you can't kill them off that way, you kill them off by assassinating their character, discrediting them. And in boxing, the quickest way to discredit somebody, it was PD. He was on PEDs. You know, so even if the person is innocent, people still look at them as cheats. Look at Roy Jones, James Toney. You know, you give the list of Michael Mora, of guys who are on or considered PEDs. I look at where they are when they get caught and how they get caught. You know, Tyson talked quite openly that he was, I think he said he was on cocaine or speed or ecstasy before his fights. He openly admitted it, and he was bulked up and was on steroids. So he said. Nobody says anything about that, but Tyson himself openly said it. So, I have question marks. Let's put it this way. Beef burger and chips coming up later on, folks. What? What are you talking about? Notice how all these shenanigans help Anthony Joshua. Yes, I've noticed it. I think Crawler may be. I'm not even giving Crawler. not even talking about it. Sorry. Okay, we're talking about repeat offenders, but well, repeat offenders, that's different. I want to see whether these people are genuinely drug cheats or if there's an agenda there. That's what I want to know about. What time's Stiverne on? I said it already. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. UK time. 2 p.m. Vegas time. So I need to change his title. Definitely got to change his title because that's not what it is. Yeah, I will change the title while I'm talking. Keep talking to me, people. I've got to change this title because it's not good. Right, that should adjust that. That should fix that. People say the same thing about police departments' agendas, etc. Just saying, of course. Well, yeah, it is. Where's the video, bro? Just audio at the moment. That's just the way it is. Which fighters do we all pretty much believe are clean without much doubt? I believe Wilder is. Are you confident Joshua is? Hope so. Not saying he isn't. Some have wondered. Well, some have wondered about Joshua. Some have wondered about David Hay. Some have wondered about Shannon Briggs. Those are three there. Some have even wondered about Evander Holyfield, how he moved from cruiserweight to heavyweight. I mean, I remember, so I just don't know. I don't know. I spoke to a well-known fighter the other day, and he said to me, "They're pretty much everyone's on it." That sounded quite ominous, to be honest. Sounded pretty ominous. So, yeah. I don't think I've got anything much to say, but in the time being, if you haven't already, please check out the interviews with Peter Fury, the interview with Amir Mansour. Check out Rick Glazer, 85 years old. He's been in the sport for many years as a matchmaker, and he really is going to be a guy who's going to be on the channel regular, and he'll be giving me all the latest news from America. He knows his stuff. Pacquiao, yeah. Well, Pacquiao was another one that people suggested or thought that he was on it as well, and that became heightened around the time that Mayweather started calling him out. So I don't know. But David Hayes one that people talk about a lot as well. Peter Fury, nice guy, but deluded of Huey. I know, but I don't know if he's deluded, because you make a person miss, you make him pain. Look, I felt Canelo beat Gennady Golovkin. People thought that I was being really I thought they thought I was being crazy, but I just thought that I like the fact that Canelo was off the ropes, on the ropes, countering, missing, making him miss, making him pay, digging nice body shots in. I like that. But hey, I can understand the argument with Gennady Golovkin winning the fight. I don't agree with 118, 110. I said 115, 113 Canelo, but hey, people saw it 115, 113 for Gennady Golovkin. It's still a close fight, either way. So thanks for your live chats. They're a lot of fun. All the best from across the pond. You've had too much rum. No, I just have an opinion, and I have an opinion, as you have an opinion, and I'm not scared to share that opinion. I am not just going to say something because Jack down the road said it, or somebody in Boxing News said it. I'll say it because that's my opinion. I'm not going to say something I don't believe in, and it's a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult to have changed your opinion without watching the fight back again, and you commentated live on the show. I don't understand the logic in that. Yes, somehow that live conversation with Stiverne will be tonight at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Repeat, 10 p.m. UK time, 11 p.m. In Paris, 2 p.m. in the afternoon in Vegas. So the link will be up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the little bell next to the subscription button. So that's how it is. Yeah, so that's it. I mean, I could see her like everyone said, yeah, Gennady Golovkin won the fight, but I can't say that because I don't believe in my heart he won the fight. Again, I repeat, I still have not watched the fight on replay. I did the live commentary, and I can't sit on the live commentary and say I believe this guy won the fight, not look at the fight again and then say, yeah, because Joe down the road said, and so many people on Twitter are saying I'm drinking rum. I'm going to say Gennady Golovkin won the fight. Look, I even told Abel Sanchez, look, man, I don't think your man won the fight. But, North Korea, straight up, weirdest country in the world, straight up. Let's see here. Dr. Dredd, what about Eddie Hearn trying to force AJ on the Americans? Joshua's a dry robot. I don't know. Maybe Eddie Hearn thinks that by linking up with the Americans and doing this HBO thing that he's going to be able to get Joshua and get more coverage for Joshua. I don't know. I don't know about all that. What do you think? Stiverne can beat Whyte. He's 39 years old and has not fought in 2 years. Oh, Jesus Christ. My opinion doesn't matter. If the fight's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But by the way, my card 115, 113, Golovkin. Okay, so all right, fine. I respect that. Go back and listen to if you got time, please go back and listen to my live commentary of Golovkin Canelo. I couldn't have been biased at the time. Well, I could have been, but I wasn't. Because I thought I commentated the fight quite well. But hey, that's me probably being my bias. But go back and listen to the commentary. I haven't watched the fight yet. And I'm probably going to go back and look at the fight again, re-commentate the fight. Do you know something? Before I finish, I'm going to ask the question for you boxing fans. I'm thinking of doing a boxing greatest hits like show. So fights that I really love, I'm going to do commentary on. I think it'll be a nice take for boxing fights that maybe people are not familiar with, or fights that people may have forgotten. I'm thinking of doing some some I'm thinking of doing some commentary for old fights. Let me know what you think. Close fight is what I'm saying. Gotta go. I'll keep watching your chats. Thank you so much, my man from Australia. Enjoy. Everyone has got bias. No one is exempt from ITM. Yeah, I agree. People have their biases, of course. Don't roll commentaries to that fight. I wasn't suggesting, but the Stiverne Wilder one fight I may do, but that wasn't what I was thinking. I've got some really fights I really like watching. I liked there's a fight that goes under a lot of people's I like their fights. I was a big Oscar De La Hoya fan, so I liked his fight when he fought I think it's Molina. He fought earlier in his career. I liked De La Hoya Vargas, big fight. Love that fight. I'm watching it live. De La Hoya Mosley, De La Hoya Ike Corte, Holyfield Bowe the first fight, Holyfield Bowe the third fight, Barrera Morales the first fight. Oh, so many fights. So I'd like to do some commentary. So let me know your suggestions, and I'll probably do a fight. Someone says, do you think Ortiz was deliberately misled out of the way? Quite possibly. Spartacus the Great says, Stiverne was poisoned first time round. I think his thyroid was attacked, which is why he couldn't throw proper punches. Well, he better make sure second time round his camp gets it right. So I'll be trying to talk to Don House, the trainer of Stiverne, as well. Right, I think I've shot my load here. I'm gonna go and maybe do a couple of hours. Ingram, what you should do is get two people in boxing who absolutely hate each other in a Skype chat and let them go at it. You could say we've got something planned coming up very shortly about something like that happening. We're going to have hopefully, fingers crossed, a live head-to-head via BWTM Sports. So I think that should be quite interesting. First time ever, and I'll be in the middle of it. So that's something for you all to look forward to. Yeah, so check out the videos, the interviews on the channel, and we'll have Stiverne tonight. Forget Skype chat. Forget a Skype chat. This is going to be live video. Forget Skype chat. It'll be live video. So there'll be, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to have some really beautiful stuff coming up on the channel. How do you see the position of Povetkin and Ortiz? Both of them are old enough. Are you going to bet for a world title yet? I would not be surprised if Povetkin and Ortiz fought one another. I can see that move being made. I really can. I can see it happening. Mansour calls out Whyte. Yeah, please check out the interview we did. It was absolutely a crossover special. We had Amir Mansour and James Ali Bashir on the same line. Check that out as well. That's on the channel. So I'm out of here. You guys take care and thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you as always. This is BWTM and I am out of here. Take care.